What's good, everyone? It's Puns. We're back with another video, and today I'm going to show you how to make pain loops or samples for artists like NBA Youngboy. I'm going to play you the loop and then we'll break it down. Let's get it. Yeah, that was definitely a nice pain vibe right there. Really emotional, perfect for artists such as NBA Youngboy. Now let's break down how I made this loop. Yeah, so I started off with a piano. We got the grandeur. I used the basic default preset. And I'm going to play you the piano and then we'll break down this chord progression. Yeah, so we're in the scale of G minor. I did a 4-5-6, 6-5-4 chord progression, and it's just a basic triad chord progression. Now let's go over effects. For the piano, I used a Valhalla vintage verb. Low cut set to 1500. The mix to around 18. I left everything else the same. I used a fruity delay 2. I have the time stretched to 2. And I used the ping pong feedback. The mix level is at around 6. You don't have to use this, but I used the UAD Neve 88RS and I used the acoustic piano preset. And I EQ'd out some low end. Yeah, so the next thing I added is a piano top line. And I used the grandeur. I used the same default preset. Definitely one of my favorite pianos out there. I'll play you this piano top line and then we'll break it down and I'll give you tips on how you can make your own. Yeah, so how I chose to approach this top line is I wanted to fill out empty space in the chord progression. And over here I have these notes hitting right where the chord progression starts to transition chords. And over here as well. And what this does is it makes it sound like you're adding extra harmonies to the chord progression. Just adds nice ear candy, and that's exactly what you want when you're making these sort of melodies. As you can see, I kept the chord progression simple. So I was able to add a little bit more for the top line. But you don't want to overdo both because then the beat sounds crowded. Now for effects on this top line, I have a Valhalla vintage verb. Low cut to 1500. The mix to around 18, 19 should be good. Fruity delay 2, same settings as the first chord progression. Time stretch to 2. Feedback on ping pong. And I have the mix level to around 6. And again, you don't have to add this, but I added a UAD Neve 88RS preset and I just EQ'd out some low end. The next thing I did is I added a Rhodes, which is an electric piano. I used Keyscape and I used the Rhodes LA Custom Warm preset. One of my favorite Rhodes presets for sure. You should check it out. And what I basically did is I copied the chord progression and the piano top line and I put it into one MIDI just so I can add variation in my verses. And it works really well because it adds subtle harmonies in the background and it just layers nicely with the piano. And I'll play it for you and then I'll break down effects. Yeah, so as you heard, you can hear how the top line goes really well with the chord progression. It just plays at the right time, and you want to find the right timing for these top lines to make everything flow more nicely. And in NBA Youngboy songs, he usually uses Rhodes, especially in the soulful pain type beats, and that's what gives it that signature sound. So let's break down effects. I used a Valhalla vintage verb, low cut to around 700, mixed to around 18, left everything else the same. I used a fruity delay 3 and the mix level at 8%, left everything else the same, and I just EQ'd out some low end as well. The last sound I added is a bass guitar. I used Serum 2 and I used the funk bass preset, which is under bass and then under electric. And I'll play it for you and then we'll break it down. Now, usually for these NBA Youngboy loops, you want to have a more complex bass line, something not as simple as this, but I chose to keep it simple because I had a lot going on with the guitars and I wanted everything to flow nicely. Now let's break down effects. For effects, I EQ'd out some high end, took out a lot actually to give it that signature bass guitar sound, and I EQ'd a tiny bit of low end as well. And my favorite preset for basses is the Avalon 737 channel strip. I used the Moog bass punch preset, but you can also use other effects for this as well to achieve the same sound. Yeah, so the next thing I did was I added these guitar phrases from the Nitro Audios kits. Some of the best phrases I've ever heard, and you should definitely check them out. I'm working on my own phrases and samples that I'll be dropping in the kit as well. It'll also be including a drum kit, loops from me, and other accents and phrases that you can use in your own melodies and in your own beats. They'll be royalty free. Stay tuned for that as well. So let me show you these Nitro guitars. Yeah, so that really added a lot of texture to this beat and just made everything sound beautiful. That's all I have to say for these beats. Is you definitely need guitars in the beats. They make everything sound more melodic and give it that polished, authentic NBA Youngboy sound that everyone's going for. There's different artists that can hop on beats like this as well, but this is definitely something you want to go for when you're making these kind of beats. I would definitely add these guitar phrases. Again, check out Nitro Audios and stay tuned for my upcoming kit as well. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Stay tuned for more because we're going to have 1 to 2 videos coming out every single week. We're going to do live cook-ups, beat breakdowns, and sample making for artists such as NBA Youngboy, Lil Durk, Rod Wave, and many more. Stay tuned, and until next time, peace.